Former Jets special teams coach Mike Westhoff with Armen and Levack. Jets 20, Colts 7 in Indianapolis last night. Coach Westhoff, you're at the Jets facility right now. What's the mood like there today?
Oh, well, I haven't seen everyone here yet. I'm actually here to pick up some things for my radio show that I'm doing. Well, trust me, they're all smiles. I haven't seen anyone in the place since I've arrived that's not smiling. So, you know, they feel very, very, very good about the victory, and it was certainly an important one for them.
They should feel good about the victory. It wasn't an amazing victory on Monday Night Football, a great one for the franchise. What jumped out to you as the most impressive thing that the Jets did last night against the Colts?
It's almost easy. It's almost an easy question, frankly. The turnovers. You know, in the last several years, they've been so far down. I think they were ranked 33rd. That's out of 32. That tells you where they were. They're terrible in the giveaway takeaway. One thing that jumped at me in the preseason, I don't look at a lot of preseason numbers other than for indicators. And I only look at 3 games because I don't care about the 4th game. But after 3 games, the New York Jets were 3rd in the NFL in giveaway takeaway. That's just only preseason, I know, but it was an indicator. Right now, they're so far in first, there's nobody second. That's ridiculous. Wow. I mean, this is what they've done. Now, you got to give the coach some credit because this is his MO. You know, he's a guy, he takes risks on defense. He moves people around. He plays a lot of man-to-man coverage, and he'll come after you. Now, what he's got now, he's got a defensive line that even without blitz help can pressure the quarterback, and it results in turnovers. And they've taken their secondary from probably the worst secondary in the NFL to arguably one of the top, and you could argue that they're the best. So the result: turnovers, opportunities, gives you a chance to win.
Coach, I was watching the game, and one thought just coming through my mind: what a difference NFL caliber cornerbacks make for this defense.
Oh, thank you. There's no, poor Rex. I mean, God bless him. Yeah, he's a very, very good defensive coach. He took that group last year and finished 6th, but in key categories, Rex couldn't win. There weren't any turnovers. He ended up having to play a ton of zone. Now, he's very good run defense, but they had to play zone. They're not opportunistic. They couldn't get to the quarterback, and consequently, they didn't make those plays. These corners, they'll let you do that. I had a coach, an NFL coach who I respect a lot, that last year in the winter told me that he thought Buster Screen, that they signed from Cleveland, was the best nickelback in the National Football League. Now, I don't know that, but that's interesting for a very good secondary coach to say that. Now, when you add with Cromartie and with Revis, of course, I think Revis is one of the best football players in the league. So you've got that. You added Gilchrist as a free safety. That lets them put Pryor up in the box and let him blitz where he belongs. When you put all that together, whoa, come on! This is you're right on. This is a good group.
Coach Mike Westhoff with ESPN New York and SNY, and Coach Westhoff, as you watch this front office work as well, is this also a testament to everyone from the ownership down to the head coach working together to build the team?
Yes, it is. It really is. They Mike McCarron did really an excellent job. The thing that they spent the right money. They went out and spent a lot of money, and they did it well. They got good football players. It's not hard to me, for a talent guy, it's not hard to realize, do you want Darrelle Revis? Can you afford him? That's the case. So I think, when you really judge a personnel department, I like to look at the big picture and to find out the guy that maybe everybody didn't know about. Well, so far, I'm not sure that they've done that. So therefore, I'm not going to give them just, unbelievable credit because the guys that they brought in, it's kind of like a lot of people wanted those guys. They weren't hard to pick. Also, the number 1 pick in the draft that fell to them, Leonard Williams, I mean, come on. I talked to a number of scouts. I've talked to scouts recently that told me that he was the number 1 highest graded player on their board. And all of a sudden, the Jets got him. So the personnel department has done an excellent job, but yet in some ways, I think these weren't hidden gems that they found. So I'm going to wait to see how that develops before I just completely, give them the AA double pluses.
I have to give them the A double plus though on taking the flyer, spending very little and bringing in a true number 1 wide receiver in Brandon Marshall.
No, I agree with you. Good point. Yeah, I agree. You got a good one here. It's a really good point. That was a very, very good move, very economical and the right thing to do. Yes, I agree with that. Don't forget now, they did give him a little boost when he got here, so he's doing fine financially. But he's a good football player. What I'm seeing, and I think you're going to see this even more, the NFL's a little bit of a copycat league. People all study each other. They know what works. They all spend a great deal of time on film study. And you're going to see a little bit with Brandon Marshall what I'm calling the Julio Jones syndrome. Atlanta has done an incredible job of taking that very gifted guy and playing him everywhere. They put him in the backfield the other day and ran a bubble screen to him. And the Giants have really had no answer to that problem with Julio. Now you're seeing the Jets take a guy like Brandon Marshall and do some similar things with him, move him all around, get him the football. One of those touchdowns last night, the Colts were going to come after the Jets. They were coming after them. They came up in the line. They walked right up on Brandon Marshall, and they were bumping and running, and bump and run, man to man. Well, the physical mismatch was incredible in favor of the Giants, in favor of the Jets. Fitzpatrick gave him a hand signal, threw it to him, he ran the guy right over for a touchdown. I love that kind of play right there. They just matched it up. They realized it was pretty simple, and they let this Brandon Marshall really go after him and do what he can do, because he is a really talented football player, really talented.
There was the moment, Coach, from towards the end of the second half through the third quarter where this Jets offense was puttering. In the end, they made a statement touchdown and a statement drive during the fourth quarter to really separate themselves with about 5 minutes left. How confident should we be with what Ryan Fitzpatrick has done in the first 2 games of the year?
The thing that I like, I think you have to show a level of confidence. The thing that I like that he's done, because this isn't exactly the most talented guy, but I haven't seen a throw that he's not making. He's making all the tough throws. He's making the deep outside comeback. He's making that throw. He's showing some touch. He's doing some of these things really pretty well. I want to see him throw deep a little bit more. But when they get Smith back now, Devin Smith, their number 2 draft pick from Ohio State, because he can fly. He can fly. What a weapon that'll be to help stretch that coverage. Indianapolis was playing a loose zone, but then as Marshall would come into the corner zone, he would move up on him, and they had safety help over the top because there was no one to push that safety deep. There will be next week or the week after that, because when Smith comes back, look out. So I think Fitzpatrick has been very, very serviceable and really the right guy for this offense. And, of course, you have to give credit to the line for protecting him and for Chris Ivory, the way he runs the ball.
Coach, you say right guy for the job. Is that even with the return of Geno Smith when he's healthy again?
Oh, yeah, in my opinion, Geno Smith's not this job is Fitzpatrick's. That's just the way it worked. Geno was ahead at training camp at the point in time, before Joe Frazier came in the locker room. I was there. Geno was ahead. He really was. But this guy's taken over. He's just taken over. Now don't forget, Fitzpatrick was coming off an injury through camp. He wasn't making the throws. He's making them now. Geno's not going to walk into this job. Forget it. It's not happening. We'll see what happens now. Not that he couldn't end up being the guy, because he could. Not now. Forget it. It's not even remote.
Coach Mike Westhoff with Armen and Levack of ESPN New York and SNY. What do you see with Todd Bowles on the defensive side of the ball and what he's able to do with these blitzes? What's your biggest observation there?
Well, this is his MO. Don't forget. The guys that I talk to, they basically call him 46-0. That's what they refer to him as, guys that I know. He likes a 4-man line, 6 defensive backs, and he uses different blitz combinations, and then 0 being a pure man-to-man coverage. He likes it. He takes some chances. He'll move people around. Now, where he's aided is because when you do this, a lot of times you can show all these blitz looks, and then you drop back and play zone. But he's got the defensive line that can really get to the quarterback. They made a nice adjustment yesterday. The Colts were forced. They have a right tackle named Muhart, Jack Muhart, number 75. He's played from Ohio State. Now he's really a guard. It's a guard that's been kind of forced into tackle. Now, they weren't really doing a great job rushing against him. All of a sudden, They moved Mo Wilkerson out on him. Oh, my gosh. Mo Wilkerson ran right into the ground. Got right in Luck's face, forced the errant pass, and that was one of Revis's interceptions. That was a very nice adjustment. But, Mo Wilkerson and Leonard Williams, and these are really talented guys. I'd like to see a little more out of Quentin Coples. I think he's going to have to catch up. But don't forget, Sheldon Richardson hadn't even showed up yet.
Yep.
I mean, this group is good.
Yeah.
And when what Todd likes to do is mix them up, show those different looks, and he will come after you. The reason he's a head coach in the National Football League is because the notoriety he received as a defensive coordinator for creating turnovers. That's why he's a head coach in the National Football League, because he got that notoriety. He did a nice job with the defense, and he's done that. So he deserves a chance. He's doing it well here. But with this quality secondary and with that front, whoa, come on now, this is pretty tough to beat.
Coach, as the Jets prepare for the Eagles, what do they need to do to win that game?
Run the football. You got to run the ball against the Eagles, and you got to stop the Eagles from getting outside. The Eagles will try to take their tight end, and they'll try to block the outside backers for the Jets with Calvin Pace and with Coples. They'll try to block them and get around the edge. That's their best running game. When you can shut that down, people have shut them down. And so what some people have done really with Chip Kelly's offense, they've caught up to it a little bit. They've caught up to it. They're not trying to necessarily substitute at his rate. They're adjusting with their calls. They're defending the strong side of the formation and know that when he play action, when he runs fake strong side, he throws backside, usually to a one-on-one coverage. So they're taking that away from him. I don't think they're afraid of Bradford. I'm afraid of what he can do to win. And he's not going to run the ball. So, you've got to play a good, solid plan. You have to be ready for their up-tempo offense because, they run a lot of plays, although it's been a little slower lately. And I think some people have caught up to Chip Kelly. At first, when he first came out with that, and, some of the prognosticators were talking about, you thought this guy was better than Don Shula. No, not so fast, guys. Not so fast. Let's wait a while. He gave away a lot of good football players. And so far, it hasn't panned out. But yet, they have a good system, they believe in it, and they can hurt you throwing the ball. So there's things the Jets are going to have to adjust, but if they can control the clock a little bit and then just play the type of defense they've played with that coverage, I think it's a very, very good matchup, and the Jets can win that game. So when I looked at it, when everybody looked at it, back when the schedule came out, you would have said, well, they can't win in Indianapolis, and the Eagles will come in here and beat them. No, I'm not so sure of that. That's not how I feel.
Former NFL special teams coach Mike Westhoff with Armen and Levack. And, Coach, how do you feel about the new extra point this year with the new distance? More extra points have already been missed through 2 weeks than all of last year combined. Your reaction to the start of the season?
Yeah, I was involved in it. I talked to the guys in the league office. I helped. Yes, you can blame me part of it. I suggested they have to do something. Kicking game's going out of the business. I was offered quite a number of jobs. I told everyone that offered me, thank you, but the job that I used to do doesn't exist today. You don't have any more special teams plays. Give me a good example. I used to count an average, not counting field goals or PATs. I'll tell you this quickly. 22 plays a game I counted for, and quite often 25, as high as 28. The first game of the year, Pittsburgh and New England, not counting field goals or PATs. Special teams plays, 5 actual plays. I was at the league office last week, and I have almost every special teams coach asking me, can I help? For the kicking game and the special teams plays are being, right now they're diluted and they're being eliminated. There's just not that much. I think it's a terrible mistake. So when you have a play, a percentage, PAT percent that's 99.6, well, you got to do something. And my suggestion is to narrow the goalpost a little bit. I want to narrow it 1 yard, 1.5 feet on each side. I want to create a kicking hash, not quite as wide as the college hash. So therefore, you'll have a slightly narrower target from a slightly wider angle. Field goal percentage, it'll go back to 85 instead of, because right now, if you don't have a 90% kicker, come on, you're a joke, because field goals are easy. They're pedestrian today. So that part, I think it's a good move. Because again, I'm in favor of teams winning football games, not one person winning football games. And that's where the league is headed. They're headed for one person. And right now, that's my argument to the guys in the league office last week was, with this few plays, how am I supposed to develop a young kid today?
Wow. Great
They
insight.
didn't have a very good answer.
Yeah.
So I like the play because I like anything that makes it a team game. So I'm in favor.
Great insight from Mike Westhoff of SNY. See him on pre and post for Jets games, right, Coach?
Yeah, I do. I have a pregame radio show. We cover kind of all of New York, so I'm trying to catch up to the Giants. It's not easy. It's a little bit of a headache, to tell you the truth. I'm trying. And then we do a postgame with the Jets. That's really fun. I have a ball with our SNY guys. They're really fun. So, and the other one, I probably make too much of it because I try to get too technical on my breakdown. So that's kind of my fault. I have to straighten up.
Hey, you're on Sunday mornings too, right? On ESPN New York?
Yes, yeah, that's the one I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Anita Marks and I. And because I really started off trying to cover too many things, and now I think I'm going to gear that back a little bit and just make it kind of more New York and a little more general. But it's fun. It's fun. I have fun doing it, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge because there's so much involved. I'm not as into the point spreads and fantasy. I'm just not. Because I see all the commercials for fantasy, and I think it's great for people. I want to. I played and I won $1 million. Well, I want to see the guy that said, I played and I'm living at the YMCA now.
Right. Yeah. There's two sides of it. Yeah, exactly. That would be me if I did play, by the way.
Make sure that's not you. Just be careful.
All right, I'll be careful, Coach. Great advice from Coach Mike Westhoff with Armen and Levack. Coach, thanks so much for letting us pick your brain. 20-7 Jets over the Colts last night. Good times. Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking me.